Hey, Cannonball Nation. It is February 6th, 2025. And my office has all been sick and grumpy. My husband's been mean as can be. Nobody feels good in Erath County these days. We also have lots of agents across the world that are super sick. So hopefully everybody is on the mend and feeling better because some of us have places to be. And we need to be there. Today, Miss Regina Banks' bingo board request is how to find and primed an underworked market.
Let me
So,
get my pen.
so that is what we're going to dive into today. And when you find one, we like to call those our honey holes, our sweet spots, things like that. And because very few people are working them. And that's kind of the number one key when you're trying to figure out an under market to work is first deciding how far from your current market are you willing to go, right? So if you're a grassroots person, how far out of your area are you willing to drive or go to? If you're social media, how far can you take that? What state licenses you have. Because when I look at underworked markets, originally we kind of look at our local economy, but then from there we got to keep branching out, right? Because kind of once you dry up that honey hole, you got to find another one. So you got to kind of keep expanding. Now, I've always said for years, in my personal opinion, professional opinion, I think it's easier to grow in rural America than it is in a metroplex city to begin with. Metroplex people, and it doesn't matter if you're LA, Dallas, Orlando, any of those big cities, they have so many choices, first on product, right? Which is really hard to create loyalty because they just have so many choices. And then because of the vast size of the area, you also have so many agents selling those so many choices. Plus, your call centers and things like that like to hone in on those really big markets because if they're going to drop marketing, if they're going to drop mail, if they're going to drop TV ads, they want it to hit to the most people possible. So they're not going to sprinkle it in the rural area much because they want to hyper focus where they can get the most volume people reached. So again, they're hitting the Metroplex area. Most of your lower income. Now we have a lot of Medicaid people, don't get me wrong, but when you think of the dual population, you're thinking like a lot of times it's the projects or, just really low income deep in the heart of the mid cities. A lot of your homeless are in there, and that in itself is a niche market, which we'll talk on today. So depending on, who you want your niche market to be and how you want to market, it's really going to change up how you target them and who you go after. Um, I've always personally just had the best luck getting outside of the Metroplex. So that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking on today. The homeless shelters and things like that are more in the Metroplex. So we're going to talk about that. And I notice Miss Ebony is on the call. And when we get into that segment, I'm going to bring her on and let her talk quite a bit. She didn't even know this because I know on the ACA side, she has honed in on that market already. And we were talking about this the other day on how to do it for Medicare, and we had that conversation. So I would like for her to talk on that as well to you guys today. Um, so first and foremost, Erath County, right? So my first play was my own market. I'm in rural America. And but I didn't want to hit just this segment or that segment of rural America because it's where I live to start with. So if you're living in rural America, this is going to be a little different for you right off the bat. I wanted to own my town long term. I didn't want to be a fly by night person. I wanted to own the town. So that's where the grassroots came in. And I think most people on this call are very good at grassroots. Part of the reason why you're on my team, you like that strategy, right? But it's hard to go to every senior center and hard to go to every, cookout and to every school game and things like that. And it's what you kind of do in the beginning, but you start to get spread too thin, especially as your business starts to grow. So you got to think of your branding and your marketing grassroots strategy more as a branding strategy and less so much as boots on the ground. Not that you're never going to do boots on the ground things, but it's not going to be every day of the week for the rest of your life because you're not going to be able to keep that up. You're just not. You're going to wear yourself out. You're going to be exhausted, or you're going to finally have a big enough book of business that you just can't do that and maintain your book. But the problem is, if that's how you grew your book and then you stop doing that, once you got your book maintained, then all of a sudden you hit a wall again. You got to start completely over. We don't want to do that either, right? So we got to learn how to brand market ourselves in our local market away from actually putting boots on the ground. So that's more of where the branding play comes in. And so for me, that looks like billboards. I'm putting up another one. In fact, I'm not even sure I've told Melissa yet. There's another one going in Granbury. So I've moved closer to the side of town, so I'm throwing one up there. But I have a billboard going into Stephenville, Texas from 3 different directions. The only reason I don't have a billboard in the fourth direction is because I can't find a billboard out there to put one in. So when you get within basically 5 or 10 miles of Stephenville, Texas, you know you're entering the home of Cannonball Insurance Medicare Wonder Woman because there's a big old sign to welcome you in, right? You can't come into my town without seeing my lovely mug, whether you want to or not. And boy, does it get the haters. You gotta love that, because especially some of those that have to drive by it every day for work. Oh, it just makes my heart sing. I ain't gonna lie, it does. So I got my face all over. Now, everybody asks, well, how do you ROI that? You're not going to unless you put a different phone number on it. And believe me, you're not going to get very many calls on anyways because you don't want people wrecking their car trying to write down your phone number. It is a brand. It is omnipresence, right? It's so they see your logo, they recognize your face. They see your logo, they recognize your face. They see your logo, they recognize your face. That's all you care about. That way, when you're in Walmart on aisle 6, they're like, "Oh my God, it's the Medicare Wonder Woman," and you're like, "Oh my God, who are these people?" That's what you're looking for, and it has happened many times. That's when you know your omnipresence is working. Other things I like to do, I talk a lot about marketing, branding type stuff that hangs around. So that billboard hangs around, right? I buy it for a year, 2 years, 3 years at a time, and the longer you can book that billboard for, the better rate you're going to get too. We do tabletops. So there's lots of restaurants around. There's a company, and Melissa, this company probably works in your area too. She can throw it in the chat. I don't remember the name of the company, but they do like mom and pop restaurants. They're not doing Chili's, okay? But they're doing your local breakfast places. They're doing your mom and pop stuff, and they're making custom tables. And they're basically, you're buying sponsorship to basically have a billboard on that table. It's like this size, it's on that table. And there's like a half a dozen businesses on there. Well, those tables sit in those restaurants a year or 2 years, and you get in those mom and pop places, especially the places the seniors like to go. Well, a lot of seniors go to the same exact place for breakfast almost every day. So they're sitting there having breakfast with my face. Then we go and hand them some coffee mugs. So now they're drinking out of my coffee mug while they're staring at my face, while they're eating their eggs. Well, they had to drive by my billboard to get there. So, in that one morning, potentially someone had an interaction with my face 4 times before 9 a.m. Whether they know it or not, they're getting flashes. They're going to start dreaming about me pretty soon at this rate. Like, especially if they eat there often, right? So whether they know it or not. And I love that. So it's in the back of their mind. They may not need insurance today, and they may not be the farthest thing from their mind, but at some point, insurance is going to cross their mind, and they're going to be like, wait a minute, there's that one girl I see all over the place. What was her name again? Right? They're going to think back. I have done the schools, like their uniforms, like sponsor the uniforms, get my name on the back of the uniform, get my banners. We just sponsor the local baseball team again, where my banner is up for all the games, right? So now they're at the game, they're seeing me in left field, then they're gonna go get dinner after the game, they're drinking out of my coffee cup, and they got to drive by my billboard going home. Again, they just can't get away from me. And then when they get home and it's 11 o'clock at night and they're scrolling, there I am again. Like I'm stalking them. That's what your local market should feel like. Your local market should feel like you are stalking them without ever meeting them. If you are stalking the people in your area, you're winning at branding and you're winning at marketing, and you will see the fruitions of that labor, I promise. Melissa just put the name of that tabletop magazine. You reach out to them to see if they have any tables in your area, any restaurants going in. They do new stuff all the time. So that has been my goal with Erath County. First, I was shaking hands and kissing babies, right? Everybody knew me. Now I try to go to those places less and less. I send my team. I send Melissa. I send a salesperson. I will show up on occasion to keep them top of mind of me and not just my people. But the idea is to grow the omnipresence. So your client literally feels like you're stalking them without you actually stalking them. So if you're not doing that, and you do live in a rural type America, first and foremost, you need to start there. Okay? Because there's nothing sweeter than the fruit that is in your town. They're going to be easier to retain. They're going to be cheaper and easier to get. Nothing is sweeter than that. Promise. But once you've done that, or when you're looking for other spots, then you got to think to yourself, do I want to compete with 200,000 other people in Dallas, Texas? Or do I want to compete with 2 people in Sherman, Texas? Well, the leads are less. Well, yeah, there's less people, but you can only handle so many as one person, right? You can only handle 1,000 a year probably as one person. So does it matter if the thousands in Dallas or the thousands in Sherman, Texas? Because Sherman has 1,000 people, I promise you. Sherman probably has 20,000 people, but there's 2 people fighting for 20,000 people, and there's 200 people fighting for 200,000 people. Guess what? The math is the same. But your cost of marketing is 10 times higher in Dallas than it's going to be in Sherman. You can do TV in Sherman for 25%. You could, well, mail drops about the same because stamps the same everywhere. But they might actually open it there because it might be the only mail they get that day. Facebook ads are going to be cheaper there. Grassroots events are going to be cheaper there. If you did like a bingo or something, their prizes don't have to be as expensive probably as a Metroplex because they're not as spoiled. They're just thrilled that somebody's doing bingo. They don't even expect the prize. They're just like, oh my God, there's people here. You brought snacks. I'm there. Right? So think about that. Now, let's think about Sherman, Texas. And I'm just using Sherman as an example. The only thing I know about Sherman is their location on a map for reference, but I'm using them as an example. Let's think about that town for a minute. What else are they close to? They're Sherman, Texas. But if you look at a map, what do they by? Oklahoma border. What is Oklahoma known for? Any ideas?
Casinos.
Kate, you're correct, but that's not where I was going. Regina, you're closer. Casinos.
Indians.
Who owns those casinos?
The Native Americans.
Exactly. Now, you want to take your niche town and then drill it down to a niche market. I'd be looking at Native Americans that live in Sherman, Texas. Because why would I think of to look at a Native American as a niche market? How is that beneficial to me? Well, most people on this call do ACA. Do you realize a Native American can switch their ACA plan pretty much every day of the year? whether they on one or not. They also, for the most part, almost all get $0 cost. They almost all get $0 copays, and they can keep their tribal benefits too. They're like working at Medi Medi. I mean, the only time they ever have a cost or something is if they make a lot of money, like if they actually own a piece of that casino. But even then, as a Native American, they can switch their plan every day of the week for 365 days a year. They have an instant SEP every time, whether they're on a plan or not. So that's the other thing. When I think about a niche market, when I'm thinking about finding an underserved market, I also want to think about finding an underserved market that has a loophole that I can work outside of open enrollment, which is my busy time, and I don't have time to help so many people. But yet now SCPs are slim pickings, and you just heard Regina talk earlier about the disaster one going away, so SCPs are even getting slimmer. So when we're looking for our underserved markets, let's find one that has an automatic SCP. Wouldn't that be nice? I bet everybody on this call could go throw a dart in Oklahoma or South Dakota or Arizona. Google where the biggest tribes are. Colorado. Pick a state that you have a license in. Go throw a dart and just focus on that for a couple of months and see what happens. And you know what's when they call, you're instant. Oh, it's like, oh, hey, oh, you're in Arizona. Oh, you're a part of the da 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 tribe. That's fantastic. And you know what you just did? Be like, oh, SCP. Don't even have to reference anything else. Be like, yeah, I got you. What are you looking for? Right? Low income. You know, I heard you talk about Ebony and homeless shelters a minute ago. Part of the reason she focuses on homeless shelters is because they have a low income SEP year round as well. Now she does that for ACA, but the thing I talked to her about the other day was how do you do that for Medicare? It's the same concept, except those people aren't even drawing their Social Security benefit, even if they're of age, because they have no access to a computer. Set up once a week at the shelter with your computer to help people get their Social Security benefits. Then they can get their Medicare benefits. They probably already have their Medicaid benefits. And then you can turn around and write them on a dual. But a lot of people like that, they don't have their Social Security because they either can't read, can't write, or nobody's been willing to help them get it set up. And if they do have it and they have their Medicaid, they may not have their Medicare. That's as simple as doing the GI, getting them their Part B, and getting them on a dual. Medicaid's going to pay for it. Nobody's probably told them that though. And there's homeless shelters and low income facilities and battered women's shelters all over this world. Go in there, have a little fun with them, do some bingo, do some prizes, get known a little bit, then set up a table once a week, help them with their benefits. Not only will you be in a market that nobody else is working, is truly underserved and needs your benefits, you're not going to have any competition. They're not answering the phone for anybody. They probably don't even have a phone. They're not getting somebody else's mail. Their mail's going probably to the homeless shelter. Ebony, are you on? I know you're here, but are you on?
I'm on.
Why don't you tell everybody about your experience working with your homeless shelter?
I've had a couple homeless shelters that I've been going to for the last couple years. Some are better than others. Um, The experience that I've had with the shelters, I go in at least once a week or every other week to help anyone that needs help with ACA or with Medicare. Most times they don't know. Most sometimes agents just put them on anything just to get permission. So when you go over everything and explain it to them, they are they're I want to say they're like grateful. They're so thankful that they that you went over the benefits, you went over all the plan information, and you're there for them. So they call me all the time. I feel like I have kind of I think I feel like all my clients that I have that come from the shelter or the transitional place, they lean on me heavily for everything when it comes to finding doctors or even calling their doctors because they don't understand what's going on. Um, I feel like since I've been at the shelters, I've positioned myself where I can do anything that I want to do in the shelters. If I want to host a class, I can do a class. If I want to do bingo, I can. So I make myself an asset to the shelter, and they love it. They send all their people over to me. With the transitional place, I go to maybe a couple different transitional centers. The only thing with working with low income families is I have a lot of issues with keeping clients and retaining them, especially with the agents from Florida. When they see anything about free food cards or anything like that on social media, they jump on that immediately. And then they called me and asked me about their health insurance, but they fill out these forums on social media and their plans get switched over. Um, I feel like it's profitable. It has been. In the last couple of years, I've retained at least about 500 clients off of ACA and mostly ACA. Medicare, I'm building. Um, but going forward, I'm going to start hosting classes with my transitional centers. I've already talked to the director and the managers. So, like I said, I can pretty much do anything I want. I go in.
So I'm gonna top you. It's a real second because I Ebony's very, very humble. She just started doing Medicare, and you've done ACA for what now? 14 months?
Yeah.
And she's retained. Did you hear the word retained? She's retained 500 clients in 14 months working homeless shelters. I think when I first met you, Ebony, it was like right in the middle of AEP last year or just coming
Mhm.
off of it. And you told me it was your first AEP and she'd written like 1,000 apps. And you probably would have retained a lot more of those if it wasn't fraudulent season last year in ACA. So a lot of your apps this year will be way stickier, I promise.
Mhm.
But when you talk about an over or underworked, not service community, these are the kind of communities you need to look for because they're not being serviced. A lot of people don't even want to mess with them. They don't treat them like real people. They
Yeah.
love Ebony because she's like their savior. They're literally her little angel that comes in and treats them like a human being and gives them the benefits they so rightfully have.
Mhm.
And we talked about this the other day with her on her Medicare side and just kind of how to position that, but basically do the same thing, just slightly different, tweaking it for Medicare. And she's going to have the same success in Medicare doing the same thing. I think we all overlook or overthink, maybe is the better word, about finding the honey hole because you hear so and so's doing this and so's doing that. Most of you probably have a honey hole almost next door, and you walk by it every day and don't ever give it a second look because that is human nature. We're all trying to find the big shiny object, but we're overlooking the basic needs of our clients.
Like you said, I work it throughout the whole year. So I work a whole year.
Yep. It's no different than working a senior center. I know a lot of you guys work a senior center, but you guess who else is working those senior centers? Other agents. Because everybody knows to work a senior center. A lot of you guys work doctor's offices, and that is great if you can get in bed with a doctor. But you know what? Everybody else is trying to get in bed with that doctor too. I promise you. You want to grow faster. You want to get there quicker. You want to do it with less stress and less headache on the marketing side. Look for the things that people aren't just screaming from the rooftops to go do. And maybe a lot of it's just because they don't want to. In my book, there's a chapter on prisons, people exiting incarceration. Not a lot of people want to deal with those people, but guess what? There's a need. It's probably some of your transitional facilities. Ebony is probably around that, isn't it?
It is. So
Yeah.
you do have to get certified. They do make you get some type of some type of cert to go in there, because I go into the dorms sometimes and I sit with women and also with the men. But when I do go, you have to bring something. I bring essentials. I bring deodorant, socks. I bring chips. I bring little goodies because they don't have that in there, and the things that they need. I bring hygiene items for the women, and so they are appreciative when you bring things like that in there for them.
Yeah. And they basically barter with you. You bring me a
Pretty much.
deodorant, I'll bring you a client. So, I mean, it's really
Yes.
kind of what it boils down to. And it's funny, but not funny because it's really how they negotiate in there. And
Mm-hmm.
those type of, it's really how they negotiate in those type of places, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
very much, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. But scratching their back doesn't mean a big stellar thing, right? You don't have to bring this, $500 item. It's a pair of new socks or deodorant or underwear, things like that that they can have in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I go to the dollar store, the 9.99 store. I probably buy about $100 worth of products, and it lasts me quite some time.
Yeah, I would get a dozen assorted.
and those ladies, when they get out, or even the men, when they get out, they're going to remember your generosity. And they also left friends in there that they're probably writing to and talking to every day. And when those people get out, they're going to want to know how they got this done and how they got done. And guess whose number they're going to give them? It's going to be Ebony's. And it's not going to be anybody else's, not even a second thought.
What I wanted to ask you, Rebecca, I know most of them don't have phones when they do get out. And so another way of, I guess, making a profit or is those phones or those free tablets. How do I go about getting
Where do you go about getting what?
the contracts for the free phones or the free tablets?
Right? Well, there's a lady in town that does that, and somebody else I know does that too. I can probably find that out for you. But
Okay.
I just had a thought with that. They don't have, well, they use prepaid cards so much. I bet, Melissa, I bet you can find out before we get off this call. How can we create a custom prepaid phone card with our logos and our stuff on it? But at the end of the day, it's a prepaid phone card because it is for something specific, like using a phone. So it would not be considered a cash benefit. Imagine giving them a $10 loaded prepaid phone card when you went in there. What would that be worth to them? And then also, then they would have a card when they got out to call you to be able to set up their insurance because now they're out and they can find you.
Mm. I'm sure they will not call.
They might if the
They,
card is your business card. That's the thing. You got to make it easy, your business card. I mean, they only got to call you once, right, to get the
mhm.
sale.
Yes, and so usually, the only time that they're calling me is when they need something. When I'm there in front of them, I get all the information that I need when they're reaching out to them.
Well, I'm still thinking it's worth it. They call you, hey, I need a deodorant, and I have two other ladies here that need to talk to you. I think they would
Mhm.
call you.
See, what I do is, since I've been there for so long, I go to orientation. So I'm the insurance lady during orientation, and I talk to them after. all their caseworkers and all the.
Oh, nice.
So that's what I do. So at the end of their spiel, I come in and I talk to them about health insurance.
Perfect.
And so I'm able to touch everyone and talk to everyone before they get out into the dorms.
That's awesome. I mean, what a way to position yourself, Ebony. Kudos. And I hope you guys are taking notes on this because this is big. She's not the only agent I know that I know another agent in Louisiana. It's huge in Louisiana. If anybody work in Louisiana in the homeless shelters, she is one of United's top agents every year. And she just works the homeless shelter in a certain spot there in Louisiana. She focuses on a few homeless shelters. The other things, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I said the only thing, they're not loyal to you at all. So that's why I want to kind of pivot a little bit, but also keep going to the shelter because it is keeping me afloat. But they are
Yeah,
not
but you're
loyal.
doing ACA there too. I think you'll
Yes.
find them to be more loyal when you do Medicare.
Okay, so Medicare, no one has dropped off my books, which is great. But yeah, I think with Medicare, they're more, let's stay where they are.
Yeah, they'll be a little more loyal with Medicare. Part of that's because Medicare is just a little more complicated. It's a little harder to understand. Um, most likely they're eligible for those dual plans that give them all the extra benefits anyway, so there's really no reason for them to like hop around.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think you'll find the Medicare to be a little more loyal. And I'm also telling you, they're more loyal than they're more loyal than you think you are. You just started at the most fraudulent time of ACA life. They'll get better.
Okay. Okay.
They will get better.
Also, what I do is when I sign someone up, I have like a little flyer and I have my QR code on the flyer. And if they have a cell phone, I have them to download the QR code and has all my contact information and I save it into.
Now, some other niche markets will kind of go a completely different direction here, especially for your Medicare people and even your health insurance people that especially do group and things, are your high income earners, right? Well, the first thing might be popping in your head is like, well, what about SEPs and stuff? Well, that's the thing about high income earners. They're buying products that don't necessarily require SEPs, right? A med sup, you can switch anytime throughout the year if they can get their underwriting. The Cigna PPO plan, you can sell year round. Medicare hospital indemnity plans, gap plans, cancer plans, heart attack, strokes, those are all year round enrollments. And a lot of those people don't get shown all the different options because the agent is so focused on selling the one product that's so expensive that they're afraid to show the rest, or they got the win and they're running away because they're nervous in those environments because of the opposite. These are well-to-do people. I get a well-to-do person in my office, they're not leaving without 5 or 6 planes. One, because yes, they can't afford it. Two, they believe in protection for the most part. That's part of the reason why they are well-to-do. They worked hard, they took care of themselves, and they believe in that. They want to take care of their families. They're not going to leave them high and dry. So when you think about, well, where can I find well-to-do individuals? Well, think about what they like to do. They like to golf. They like to brunch. They like to fly. They vacation a lot. A lot of them are still working past 65, so they're still on group health and still working, but eventually they're going to come off of that. So, there is something called the purple hat. I think it's the purple hat. They wear purple hats, red hats, purple hats, red and purple. I know that's their colors. There's a big, it's like a sorority, but it's not a sorority. What is it called? It's like red and purple. I know that's the colors. The big red hat squad or the big
The Red
purple.
Hat Ladies? I thought that was the Red Hat Ladies.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah. So there's those, right? Don't they like know everybody, right? Then there's, I know in like Fort Worth and stuff, there's some other little specialty niche kind of women's groups that are more of the well-to-do organizations. I had a friend that was all when we were young, she always talked about them. I had no idea what she was talking about. We were young, and she grew up in like a well-to-do thing, and I was like, oh, okay. But I would look at like kind of like clubs and charities and things like that. You know, Ronald McDonald House is big. Hear Galen talk about it a lot for those of you that know Galen. Well, that's in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. I guarantee you start to go to some of those events, you're going to start to meet people in that realm that you're going to hit it off with, become friends with, and they're going to invite you to other of these events type of thing, right? To ultimately you can meet people. And it's part of the reason why I go to some of these off the cuff conferences. They're business conferences and I can learn something there, but it's not insurance based because I'm targeting the room. I mean, I'm going to get some nuggets, but I'm targeting the room. The room is my target. I want to meet the people. I want to become their person. Maybe they run another business that I could use their benefits from. And then I could use their benefits, they use my benefits, and they introduce me to their friends. Right? Don't be afraid to go to places outside of your main focus to meet people who potentially could be your focus. I've always said, and I haven't done it just because I haven't had the time. And it's stupid, absolutely stupid of me to be in the business this long and not a targeted yet. I have yet to set up an insurance booth at the NFR, the cutting horse thing, any of the horse events, any of the rodeo events, the big ones. And some of you are just like, why? That was my industry, y'all. I was famous in that industry once upon a time. And the fact that I have yet to put up a table there is mind boggling to me. The problem is the biggest ones are always right in the middle of open enrollment season where I'm already slammed. But I've slowly broken through the markets anyways, because my name gets tossed around from the people that I do work with still. But that is the country folk rodeo life. Believe me, that's a huge niche market. Melissa doesn't know this yet, just because we haven't had time. Then here's the thing about ideas. There are so many out there. You just got to pick a couple. And once you start winning with that couple, you don't need any more because you're too busy already. But Melissa's big into dogs. She shows her dogs. She's learning how to be a dog shower personer, right? She's a breeder. Who doesn't go like dogs and go to dog shows? I mean, how would you like to have a booth at Westminster if dog showing was your thing? I'm going to sell them pet insurance, and I'm going to show them health insurance, and I'm going to show them travel insurance, and then I'm going to figure out where I can buy dog burial insurance because they're only going to bury that award-winning mutt when it's down the road, right? Like, I'm going to figure it out. If that was going to be my niche, I'm going to figure it out. If you're an avid hunter or you like, shooting things, like join a hunting club, join a guns club, join an Elks Lodge. You're a veteran. Get down to the DAV. Get down to the VAs. Go shoot pool and drink with those guys. That's what finding the niche market is, the underserved market. They're your people. They're either your people that can't find help or nobody will help them because they're low income or hiding on a reservation, or they're your people that are too busy and you just got to show up to where they hang out. And you're going to write the app on the tabletop wherever you're at. And then you start targeting your marketing towards that group. So let me show you something, because we took the whole Indian thing. I've always known about it, but last year, especially because with Lawrence and stuff, who is really specific on Facebook marketing stuff, ads, I decided last spring that we were going to go after the Indian market. So we developed a whole new brand. You guys don't even know this. You may have seen the ads and never realized it was us. I developed a whole brand around it. And we did Facebook target ads. There it is. Can y'all see my screen? Does it look like Facebook? Looks like a blonde lady on the front. Move things around here. We created enhanced native insurance solutions. Now we started this last spring, early summer. This is our Facebook page, our organic Facebook page now, and we already have over 1,000 likes and over 1,300 followers on a niche market. Everybody here that likes it, follow it, is an American Indian of some sort, is an Indian, because that's what it's target towards. And we do just very grassrootsy, very just stuff like you see me do in our regular markets. You know, talking about the things they know, like, and trust and love. And we have a special designated phone number for them. That's one of our Ring Central numbers that comes in, and we know it's a native lead when they call it. And all these are free. But we started this with paid ads. We spent about $1,000 a month for about 3 or 4 months with lead form ads that they signed a lead form, they signed a scope, they did the attestation, they sent their Native American card that they had to have to sign up. It was like a 5 or a 6-part lead form. And by the time they got done with it, we had every data point we needed. That all we had to do from that point was call, say hi, introduce ourselves, and tell them what plan we were putting them on. There's just and verify a couple of things. And you can see it's very simple.
That's brilliant, Rebecca.
Have you been able to track how many people have called in using the phone number?
Oh, yeah, we were writing. We probably, when we were actively campaigning it, we were getting about 20 to 30 leads a day.
Oh, wow. And how much was that ad spend a day, a daily ad spend?
The lead costs themselves they hovered anywhere from like $5 to $20 a lead.
It's awesome.
So
you
when we looked
You're not
at
doing
that,
it as much anymore though, so it's just that
it's just now it's just organic. We rolled with it to September, but then we had to gear it for AEP, and we couldn't handle the lead flow, so we had to basically turn the ads off. They're still in the back end. I could turn them back on tomorrow now that we're actually still too busy. I can't turn them on. But at any given point, I can just go turn them back on. The ads are still there. And those actual ads, I don't know how to pull up the paid ad. There's thousands of comments and hundreds of shares on our paid ads.
Are you just mainly targeting, or which area are you kind of targeting for that? Or is it just nationwide?
No, we had 7 or 10 specific states that we targeted. You know, we did basically Google shirts and where are all the Indians living? You know, Colorado, Oklahoma, Montana, Dakotas, Arizona, Nevada. I mean, typically where, a lot of where you think it is, but ultimately we just blanket targeted those states that they're in.
Hmm.
It was like a long form ad that had questions like, are you American Indian? Are you a member of a tribe? Because they're not a member of a tribe, you guys. It's not that you still can't help them, and we'll let them keep going in the ad. But that tells us right off the bat if they have that SEP URN. If they're not a member of a tribe, they don't have the URN SEP. Doesn't mean you still can't help them because most of them are low income anyways. But if they're card-carrying tribal members, they have that year-round SEP, whether they have a plan or not. And the other thing is, when you mark that, you have to prove that they're a card-carrying, so you got to have a copy of that tribal card thing that they have. It's no different than like almost like sending over a green card document. Some of you may have like kids or grandkids or something that are huge in like gymnastics or swimming. Busy people are busy, and you have to find them in their markets. Low income people are not busy, but they get overlooked. So you have to go to their areas. And then people like American Indians, Alaska Natives, a lot of them just don't know. And so you just have to make them aware. We also do Comanche over by us. It's about 30 minutes from us. They have something called the Powwow every year in this fall. We do that. We're a big sponsor there, which goes hand in hand with this. So if you're around those kind of events or near Oklahoma, things like that, I mean, I know me and Dory worked on some stuff for her last year because she's really close up there. Around the Native Americans. But Alaskan Natives, if you got an Alaska license, there's not a lot of people working in Alaska. You do a campaign towards Alaskans, you probably pick up a lot of business there too. The idea, though, when you think of underserved or niche markets, think of who just needs your help. You speak a foreign language. Kate's bilingual. That's a huge market in itself. She doesn't tout it enough, but it's there. Kate's also super busy already. She's got quite a business going for herself already, but at the end of the day, she's got something there just with the bilingual that she could leverage. Now, where she lives, I think everybody's bilingual, so in her mind, it's like, eh. But she's also in one of those markets that's hard. But why couldn't she leverage that bilingual, knowing American Indians or Alaska Natives in some wonky state? All of a sudden, she just got niched down 3 times because she's targeting a niche market with a niche language in a niche state that nobody else wants to work. That's a lot why I pick up the state exchange states. We do most of them. There's only a couple state exchange states we don't do. Is because when everybody started fighting for all the FMM and all the fraud, we started going after the state exchange. Because there's less competition. In some of those state exchange states, their certs, it takes so long to get through their cert. Even agents that raise their hand, I'm going to do this state, they get halfway through that cert and they're like, I'm done. This is too much. They give up. There's a couple of states out there that the certs took over 30 hours to do. And I'm not like 30 hours spread over 18 days. I'm talking 30 hours in front of a computer just going through it. Because it wouldn't let you skip ahead. Exactly, Karen. 10 Red Hat Society chapters in Richardson. I think you would look fabulous in a red hat, don't you? And those people, they're gossipy and they're very networky. Right? And that's exactly what you want to get involved in. BNI, a lot of people talk about BNI groups, and man, hold on. Certain parts of the world are great. They're also kind of expensive. But you know what can be better than BNI? You create your own BNI group in your local area, but you don't call it BNI, right? You just get fellow business partners together, meet once a week over dinner or drinks, take some notes, and help each other and grow it to having your own referral group. Get a construction guy in there, get an apartment manager in there, get a real estate person in there, get a PNC person in there if you're not a PNC person, get a get a chamber member in there, get a excuse me guys, my voice is starting to go. Get a lawyer in there. Get a tax person in there. It's tax season, right? You can build your own networking group and don't have to pay the BNI fees. Disability attorneys. You talk about niche markets. How many disability attorneys do you have as friends? I have a few. I love them, especially the ones that don't sell it. A lot of them try to sell the Medicare part. None of them really deal with the ACE part, so you gotta be careful of that. So find your disability attorney that does not try to sell insurance on the side, but they're good. Mark, I actually thought about a cruise. Me and Renee Furchert, who's not on the call today, she was out in California when we first got together. And we talked about cruises all the time. We talked about doing a seniors cruise. And like getting a room, like a room from the cruise ship, like we'd pay for it, and where we could do like once a day seminars about the upcoming changes. We looked into this. We almost were going to do it, and then COVID happened. Like we had a cruise director person, like whatever, travel agent, whatever, on board. They were shopping us cruises and prizes. We were actually looking at doing it, Mark. I still think it'd be fabulous and it'd be fun.
Let's do it.
I think it'd be fun. You'd hold a once a day seminar,
I've
give
totally thought of
prizes,
that.
have bingo.
Yes.
Make sure you have bingo, right? Because they're gonna want bingo or cards or bridge or whatever they like to do. Speed dating for seniors. I don't know, something. And you have
I've
a captive audience. Where they're going? They're out in the middle of the sea. They can't get away from you. I do
well,
tell you that
exactly.
they're gonna come check it out if people sound like they're having fun, even if they don't want to, because they have limited things to do there. Now I will tell you, the one and only cruise I went on was right before COVID, literally the week before COVID started. We almost didn't get to go. Never been on a cruise before, and I had printed off because I heard you could decorate your door. So I printed off this big old Medicare Wonder Woman and slapped it on there, cannonball, a phone number, so my door was a walking advertisement for everybody.
I love it.
There is a port here in my town. So
There you go,
that's,
Kate. I know how much you like to cruise.
yeah, I'm giving up my cruise with my family for
I
KBI.
know.
So
But the ideas here are endless, truly. You just got to think a little bit about the market you want to go after. I think that's really the starting point. You got to figure out the type of market you want to go after. Do you want to go after low income, homeless type people where you can really feel served, right? Do you want to have a little fun and get in a like-minded group like Karen? I can already see she's already joining. She's on that phone right now, just plugging away. I guarantee you she is trying to find an event, right? They're all great ideas. Native American, Spanish speaking. When I think of agencies that have make it, think about it, guys. Okay, you know about the big ones in the big towns, those big FMOs, but let's not think about them. Let's talk about actual agencies like us that have made it. Justin Brock, Bobby Brock, where do they live? They live in Mississippi, in Podunk, Mississippi. I know I got stranded there the other day. Okay? And they own that town. Josh Lustig lives in Podunk, Idaho. He owns that town. Cody Askins lives in Podunk, Missouri. He owns that town. Emily and Myra, and I know a lot of you guys don't know these names, but a lot of you guys do, but they're friends of mine. These are all friends of mine. And they're huge agency owners. I'm not talking small. These are, if you don't know, they're absolutely huge agency owners. Yeah, Emily and Myra, who are both in Houston. Okay? Well, that seems a little odd, right? Let's dig a little deeper. Myra's Hispanic. She teaches Hispanics how to sell to other Hispanics. There's like 3 people on her entire team of like 1,000 agents that speak English. Okay. Emily, oh, by the way, Myra doesn't sell. She's only an upline. Emily, okay, well, that's a white girl in Houston. Yeah, let's dig a little deeper. Her business partner is Kim da 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 that I can't say, who's Vietnamese, and their target market is Vietnamese. And you go into their office, and I've gone many times and just said hi and hung out. I can't even eavesdrop on her salespeople because I have no idea what they're saying. All their YouTube ads, all their trainings is all in Vietnamese. So, yes, they're in the Metroplex, but neither one of them are doing Metroplex things. They are super niched down. But all the other guys are selling to the masses, and they live in Podunk, USA. So just because you live in a Metroplex doesn't mean you have to sell to that mentality. And just because you live in Podunk, USA, like Erath County, doesn't mean you can't become huge. So, excuses of where you live and who you have to serve are just that, excuses. You can build this business any way you want, to any size you want, no matter where you are. You just have to get a little clearer about who you want to serve. Any questions? Hates planning a Spanish cruise for seniors.
How'd you know?
I can see it. And we're gonna go get your family coffee while we're doing that. Right?
Yeah, we gotta do something with that.
Regina, this was your topic. Any thoughts?
They're all good ideas and things. I mean, I've heard here and there from different people, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So, but that's okay. So maybe I didn't clarify exactly what it was I was trying to do. So that may be my fault. But these are all good ideas, just not exactly what I was looking
Well, what were you looking for?
for. Oh no, I've got a call in about like 10 minutes. So I have to go and get ready for that. So I don't want to take up anybody's time or rush.
Okay, well then shoot me a message or an email or something because I don't want you not to have your question answered.
Okay, yeah, no big deal. I mean, they're all good ideas and they're all good. And I mean, but it just wasn't exactly what I'm looking for. So probably what I described maybe wasn't exactly clear enough.
Well, that's fine, but you then need to get clear and tell me exactly what you're looking for. So
Okay,
we can
yeah.
address it too.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I just have a client who he sent me a like an explanation of benefits. He's like 94, so he don't really understand the thing.
Absolutely. Well, just
All
let me
right.
know and we will dig in more, or if if it actually ends up being totally different, then we'll do that too. No big deal.
Okay. Yeah, thank you though.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye, sweetie. Any other comments or questions?
So, I've been looking at, so I live in Jacksonville, and for those that don't know, Florida. And my area is really hard. Like, I've done a lot of really interesting, I feel like really cool stuff that and no one shows up to anything. And so there's a lot of agents here. It's very competitive. And we're kind of like a big city, but we're not really, but we're the biggest city in the country. So I've been getting some people that have found me up in a more rural area in Georgia, like above the Georgia Florida line. So that's like, it's about a 40-minute drive for me. And so I've just been thinking about maybe trying to tap into that market a little bit, since people have been finding me from there, and seeing about, working that area maybe, and seeing what I get from it. I guess I'm just trying to determine, like, how do I split my time when I don't feel like I really have time to even like go and research that kind of location. And I don't
I don't
know.
think you necessarily have to go and research. You're already getting leads out of there. I think we've talked about this a little bit, not deeply, but you're already getting leads out of there that shows you there's a need there. So I don't really think you need to go and research it. I think you just need to decide how you want to attack it. Like, do we want to attack it via social media and try to get things digitally? Do we want to attack it by putting up a once a month seminar for T65 in the town? Do we want to attack it by doing bingo at the senior center? I think you just need to decide how you want to attack the market, because the market is there from what you've told me so far.
Okay.
I mean, 45 minutes is a little ways, but for me, I mean, I think of 45 minutes as nothing. I moved to Toller so I could get 30 minutes closer to the airport. I'm still an hour and a half away, and I'm there like every week, right? I used to come from Stephenville to go to every carrier training. The closest carrier train to me was 2 hours away. I did it 2 or 3 times a week, depending on the time of year, right? I don't think 45 minutes is a deal breaker here. It's not that far. But what you do have to decide is how you're going to attack it. And then if you only have, I have 2 days a week that I can physically go there, then that's fine. Or 2 days a month that I can physically go there because of my time restraints, that's fine. Then we just have to fully attack the town those 2 days a month. So you need to plan on spending 6 hours in that town or more 2 days a month, and make full use of your time. You're going to have a seminar at this spot, you're going to go to this senior center, and you're going to go do bingo down the street. That way you make the most bang. So you may only go there 2 days a week, but if you do 3 events 2 days, or 2 days a month, and you do 3 events, well, now you did 6 events in that town every month. That's a lot, actually. And then because you're good with media and tech, then you encompass the town in social media posts and getting your name on people's social media pages, the chamber pages, and do that omnipresence marketing when you're not there. You'll be amazed how fast you can get traction in that town. So figure out what you can do and what you want to do, and then you figure out how to do it, if that makes sense, with your restraints at home.
Well, thanks.
In any town, if you end up getting more than 3 leads out of one town, especially in a short period of time, you probably have a town that needs your help. I mean, it's just usually the way that it is. I mean, now if you get like one person that referred you this person this month and that person like 2 months later, that's different. You just got a good referral partner there. But if you're getting like a handful of leads pretty quickly, you probably, regardless of how they're coming in from, if they're coming in fairly quickly, and these I know for you, you probably have a spot there you need to at least give it a whirl for a few months to see what you can make of it. Anything like that, I would always give 90 days to see if something is more there. And then it's 90 days. So if it ends up not being any more than this, a couple of great referral partners, great. Keep those referral partners on top of mind, but you don't have to spend a bunch of time in the market there to realize. But I think you've gotten enough business that you need to investigate further, and drop some events and some happenings and just see, especially for you, Kate, because you are in a market where you live that is so hard. You're in that Metroplex market that is just super saturated and super hard. I mean, your Metroplex is worse than Dallas. because it's Florida and because there's an insurance agent, I would say on every corner. No, I think there's 3 on every corner where you are. At least Dallas, it's only 1. Where you live, you know, there's 1 in every household because everybody there's a senior.
Yep. I actually found out that in my same building, there's also another agency here. So that I
Well,
didn't
when
realize.
that one we looked at, we bought them, and I'm seeing on the walls, and this is like a WeWork type space, guys. And Humana, Cigna, Humana, and she's looking at renting in here. I'm like, those look to be captives, though. You may have referral partners. Get that, get the office across from hers. If she can't write Humana, she got nothing. What kind of donut is that, Tom? You're making me hungry. All right, guys, got any questions around this or anything else I can answer before we get off of here today? Is that a peace out, Kate? All right, doesn't seem like it. I hope this helps somebody, or at least maybe gave you some new ideas. It's the beginning of the year is always the best time for new ideas, to try to sort new projects and vet new things. So hopefully it did that for you. I'm curious to know how the red hat thing goes for you, Karen. I think that would be a amazingly fun one, and I think
Only
that would,
$35 to join.
and I think that would be totally right up your alley too.
Yeah.
Like those ladies and you, I think will be like this. So keep me posted on that. I think that'll be fun. Ebony, keep me posted on the Medicare side of your homeless shelters, because I think that'll also be strong for you as well.
Will do.
Thanks, you guys. Y'all have a great rest of your week. And if you're sick like we are, get healthy. And if you're not, stay healthy. Bye, y'all.